Hi guys, good morning. I want to start talking about helping your child. Listen, from day one, when we give birth, we don't get a manual. We are scrambling to Facebook on how to breastfeed, how to feed our child, how to change a diaper. Literally, I had a breakdown in the hospital because I didn't know the wipes had a tab, and I'm trying to open it from the end. And if anybody's dealing with wipes, they're like industrial proof. And my gown's off, I have macronium everywhere, and having a complete hormonal breakdown saying, I can't even change a diaper. How the heck am I bringing this child home? You're here because of what I've went through. And because of what I went through, I don't want you to go through with what I went through. I mean, my son's had 26 surgeries, and to say that we could have found the answers probably in 2 surgeries. And that's the harder part. I don't expect anyone to go through what we went through, but at the same time, there's children here. I expected a perfect baby. I didn't expect a trach. I didn't expect special needs. I didn't expect any of this. The purpose of Movement Lesson is to help anyone move better. Anyone can move better, differently. And that's all I wanted at first for my son. When they said he'd never walk or talk, I'm like, there's got to be one thing today he can do he couldn't do yesterday. What can I be working on? But I only thought of skills. I didn't think of movement as the whole package of the body. The whole purpose of learning how to help your child is learning their characteristics, let's say. You improve the vision, you improve everything. You know, that's your golden ticket. Not having a child with great vision, I understand that, but when you're not given the right tools for the vision, or you're giving a very, I wouldn't say immature diagnosis, anyone that you're working with, me or anybody else, should be able to give you, when you're working with you, this. Not, oh, your child I think has CBI. Oh, well, okay, now what? You know, or if I said, perfect example. If I came to you right now and said your C7's out, what are you going to do with that, right? Anybody who's working with you needs to have a game plan, and that's where you're here, is to get your game plan. The game plan is not based off a diagnosis. It can be if that's where you're at to be looking at, but if your child doesn't have a diagnosis, like I really didn't have a final diagnosis till Graham was 4. I was waiting for the diagnosis before I started half my work, you know, and one doesn't have to do with the other. And that's why we did the Super Baby Boot Camp, and because again, babies need to move. That's the whole premise with movement. When you're working with your baby, you have to figure out, first of all, not what's wrong with them. Let's look at it this more way. They have a certain learning style. So if the learning style is interfered with visual complications, right? Just like, let's say you have glasses, and I ask you, and this is the funny part, many of my clients, the adults, have glasses, but it's hard to understand that their child has visual complications. And I'll look right at, like, let's say the dad, and say, so if I took your glasses away for a week, and they go, I couldn't drive, I couldn't work. Well, what's the difference? Well, my child shouldn't need glasses. He's only 6 months old. I said, well, I don't know if he needs them or not, but we have to get a visual assessment done. A lot of professionals feel that under the age of 2, or until a child has verbal skills, they can't assess the vision. That's probably the most, inconsistent thing I've ever seen or heard. You should be able to examine a child for glasses as early as 6 months of age, right? Or at least know that there's going to be an issue to be on the lookout for, let's say, every 3 months. Especially when a child has neuromuscular conditions and they say, come back in a year. Eyes or muscles, like a year? Are you kidding me? I say this all the time. I need to see a video. I am assessing for movement. It's great that you're giving me a whole history, especially if there's infection complications or hospitalization, central lines, these kind of things, because those will really affect movements from an interior perspective as well as exterior. So when you are like that's where you're going to be needing that extra help that's possible through here. Movement Lesson works through with everybody. So you're going to be looking at how the eyes work within the body. Then you're going to be looking at how the eyes work within the environment. Those are your two main consistencies. And the first thing you need to start at is my course, and it's free, Vision in Your Child. It shows you tips for successful ophthalmologist appointment. It explains nearsighted, farsighted, binocular vision, and yes, CVI. But let me tell you, when someone tells me their child has CVI, I'm telling you right now, there's structural things going on that need to take precedence, and that's why the CVI is in effect. There's environmental, there's structure, and there's neurological. One or all three involved in vision, but vision assessment. Then we have to assess where you are with the fine motor skills. Fine motor skills to me include breathing in the spine. Those fine motor skills are your first skills that come into play. Gross motor skills don't come into later. What are gross motor skills? Not body parts now. It's the way that the body uses them. A gross motor skill is to be able to take a purposeful action. You might see something as simple as from holding a bottle to holding a pen and eventually going into writing and walking and all of those kind of things. Gross motor skills are what? When your vision and your fine motor skills are all working together, and now the body's allowed to go into that third dimension of movement. So that's what you want to start looking at with your child. Yes, if the brain has had trauma, then there'll be issues with movement, but we can catch those A, earlier, and B, we can work on skills that you were told that couldn't happen. The one thing my son has taught me is I see possibilities in everybody, because that's how the brain works. It's either the body, brain and body together. It's either progressing or it's regressing. Regressing shouldn't be a conversation at all with babies. If I hear that at all, the first thing I'm like saying is, even if you have to run to the ER, but neurology or something like that, regression should not be in your vocabulary. You also don't have stagnation. Stagnation is not how the brain works. And if your child has been going for a certain amount of time without progressing or regressing, that's where, again, we want to get into play. All of my apps or courses are apps on your phone, but I want you to take at least one video that I've done and try it, because that's what's going to start happening. You need to start working with your child. There's no situation that you need to be in right now where the answer is, I don't know what to do. Talk to you in a little bit. Thanks, guys.